guys, welcome back. Let's play Shadow Hearts Covenant. Last time we defeated Garon, and now we can continue the cutscene that led to. We also made it out of wherever the hell we were.
Master! Princess!
Huh?
Were you guys just sitting there taking a nap? Ah, the music's better.
I must really do something to thank you. You've saved me twice now.
Forgive me. It was my carelessness.
Nobody got hurt, so it's fine.
That's true.
Hey, it's Snowball.
What is it? So this is the grave, huh?
Guess so.
This is where my other daughter is buried.
So you had another daughter?
This one is adopted. My real daughter, Yoshiko, was killed in Shanghai 1 year ago.
Yoshiko Kawashima? Lieutenant Colonel Kawashima?
And he's only just realizing this now.
You knew her?
However, he indicated in earlier
Seems
scenes
that you and I are truly bound together.
that he recognized the name Yoshiko Kawashima, yet he didn't put two and two together. God, he's stupid!
My beautiful daughter, dead in a foreign land over some ridiculous power struggle. It's my fault I didn't protect her. Thank you for coming today. I am sure my daughter would be glad too.
We saw this at the toward the end of the previous game, and I made sure to show it off a second time in the little catch-up bonus episode video.
What kind of person was she? Did you know her very well?
Because her death's kind of important.
I knew her. She was very smart. And she was very brave. I think that sometimes she might have pushed herself a little too hard. But she was a good person.
Thank you.
Interesting to name your adopted daughter the same thing as your real daughter that has been killed.
How goes the experiment?
Lieutenant Colonel Kato.
Lieutenant Colonel?
Minister Ishimura says that you plan to extract a monster from his soul force.
Yes, much has happened in this last month. The monster within him has been deeply submerged and has become quite weakened. We must act now before his health returns and he regains control over it.
So that's it, huh? The new vessel.
Looks like a dog.
Will it be able to contain the power?
I cannot be certain. It will surely be powerful, yes. But I don't believe it will be able to destroy the world as you think.
It's a fact. If it heals and its power is released, it could easily destroy this city.
I don't believe that.
Once Nikolai's powers are removed, He'll be useful in our negotiations with Russia.
I suppose so.
At least they
I
gave a
don't know
reason.
much about politics. I'm just happy to be able to carry on such fascinating research.
A pity.
Take care he doesn't die, but this time, raise it to the maximum.
At least they show why Kato wants Nikolai, giving us a reason. Because up until now, he hasn't had much of a reason, or at least it hasn't been explained to us. They definitely like torturing people, especially on a cross-like thing.
Good, it's working.
This game and this series seems to love to do that. Well, that went well.
It was more than the animal could handle. His power is still flowing. He is a difficult subject. We'll need to prepare some sort of special vessel.
Why did they wander in there? Or is it their job to dispose of the doggo? Well, that's one dead dog. Or not. That is one scary looking demon.
Wonderful. Isn't it simply wonderful? And that is just a glimpse of his power.
Negative power incarnate.
Ken, Raiden, get out of there!
Yes, Master.
Master, can we fight back? Absolutely not. Get out of there! Yes, sir!
But why? Now would be an excellent chance to test their powers. Let them fight.
Ian!
Go on without me!
Master, can I fight?
No!
What?
Oka.
What about Oka? Oh. So,
It's gone!
what did she do?
No, it can teleport.
Oh?
We've got to get it back!
It looked like Oka did something, and then it teleported? The connection there is too close. It looked like Oka did the thing that made it disappear instead of it teleporting out after the fact. We wish they would have been more clear.
Master?
No matter what the reason, never disobey my orders.
Forgive me, Master, but I...
Ignore an order from me once more, and you'll die an early death.
Yes, sir.
All of you, go after the monster. But if you find it, it's not to be hurt. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
There's some convoluted bullshit going on here. I know that coat.
It's good to see you again, Sensei.
So, when did you get back?
Yesterday. I wanted to come back earlier, but it was difficult to find the time.
Oh, please, think nothing of it. I must say it's much hotter here in the capital than it is in Nara, don't you think?
Yes.
Forgive me. There's no one here right now. Some tea?
Oh, don't concern yourself. I have to be going soon anyway.
Have you decided yet about the matter we discussed?
We're going to be leaving Japan next week.
Oh, really? That seems very sudden. What about Anne? And your child? You're going to be gone for a long time.
I'm planning on taking them with me.
Oh, is that right? But what about the child? What was his name again?
Yuri.
Oh, yes. Yuri. He must be about 3 now.
Yes. I'm going to be raising him in mainland China.
Oh? That will be good. Unlike Japan, he'll be able to meet people from different countries there. He'll grow up to be a good man.
Sensei,
Hmm?
it will be a few years. No, perhaps never. I may never be able to come back to Japan.
What did you say? Don't say that.
Our greatest enemy, Dehuai, has his base in Shanghai. We've got to move against him carefully. I'm counting on you if I fail.
Hyuga.
I've got to be going now.
I see. I'll be praying for your safety. When you return here, we'll have a drink. Take good care of yourself.
Yes, sir.
Well, Yuri's backstory is interconnected with everyone, it seems. Slept like a log. Of course you did. We have long cutscenes when the controller falls asleep. Yep. Interestingly enough, the comment that Naniwa made there about being able to meet people from all over the place in China would have made sense if I recall around this this point in time. I was actually listened to an audiobook about kind of like the history of Japan, and they talked about the process of Japan, and they kind of flowed in and out of being very much involved in kind of the rest of the world, and then they go into kind of not a recession, but like in terms of receding away from the rest of the world, and being very isolated for a period and then going back out, and it's very cyclical in that nature. And around this point in time, they actually would have been more involved in the outside world because they were involved in war. But usually following a lot of the larger wars, they recede back into the distance. And I believe this would have been before, because that would have been like 15 years prior. So that would have been before, I think, World War I started. So they might have been more isolated at that point in time. But it's an interesting, thought there. They all went to hang out in town, and all confused that his father and Naniwa knew each other. Karen took him out, take his mind off it. Interesting. I'm off to explore too. Yeah, mine as well. People are going to think the circus came to town when they see you. Indeed. Oh, forget it, I'll come with you. Now, the interesting thing is, when we first got Anastasia, she had an innate 20 affinity with Joachim. That was as a lead up to, even though they had absolutely no backstory at the time, the fact that they're going to hang out together now. And even though up until now they've really painted both Yuri and Anastasia as the children of the group because Yuri's a frickin' idiot, these two are now going to hang out together and kind of resume that role as Yuri pivots in terms of his character interactions and focuses on a different aspect of things. Okay, long series of cutscenes there. Yoshiko Kawashima. Very interestingly enough, she was the lieutenant colonel in the previous game with whom Kato was familiar with. She did die toward the end of that game, and we received a letter, I believe, from one of Zhu Zheng's friend's daughter, if I remember correctly, about the process and what went in, and she kind of filled people in on what was happening in Shanghai after our party left. Interestingly enough, Yoshiko Kawashima in real life is a real person. She was actually born in China, an ethnic minority in China called the Manchu. She was part of their imperial clan. And interestingly enough, she had multiple different Chinese names over the course of her life, but she's probably better known by her Japanese name. After the Xinhai Revolution overthrew the Qing dynasty, which is what she was a part of, she was given up for adoption at the age of 8. And her father's friend, Naniwa Kawashima, the same guy we've met here, was a Japanese espionage agent and mercenary adventurer. Her stepfather, basically, he adopted her. He was a friend of her biological father. Changed her name to Yoshiko Kawashima and took her back to Tokyo to educate her in his own household. Interestingly enough, we kind of see similar little bits and pieces of that here. We go into the library here and look at characters. List. Let's go to the list, because that'll be a lot faster. Here's another side note. They called him Ben Hyuga in the first game, and for some reason he's been renamed to Junpachiro. I'm not sure why they changed his name, but they did. It just doesn't matter. But kind of an interesting point. There's Asmodeus. I don't want to look at monsters. I want to look at characters. Can I go to the list, please? Thank you. And then, of course, that crazy doctor guy, Dr. Hojo. It's not a Final Fantasy VII reference. No, not at all. Crazy scientist guy? Definitely not. Alright, there we go. Let's take a look at you. Hyuga's former master, of course, that being Junpachiro, Yuri's father. It's the death of his daughter in Shanghai a year ago. He's withdrawn from political life, but is still a great patriot. Yoshiko, her real identity is, I can't pronounce that, the 14th child of the Prince of Manchu, of Manchu, but was adopted by Naniwa Kawashima. She, as an adult, she is known as the Asian Matahari. Now, there's a lot of information actually about the real life Yoshiko Kawashima, and this is fairly accurate from what I've read. Later in her life, she did multiple things: espionage missions, intelligence gathering, warfare, guerrilla warfare, She met a Japanese military attaché named Ryukichi Tanaka, and I'm not sure if she ever married him, but she was basically together with him, and he utilized her contacts with the Manchu, where she was born, and the Mongol nobility from one of her previous marriages, and expanded his whole network due to her. Even after Tanaka was recalled to Japan, she continued to serve as a spy in Manchuria, often in disguise. And one of the quotes I got off of Wikipedia, which just, it really works out really well for her. Strikingly attractive with domineering personality, almost a film drama figure, half tomboy, half heroine, with a passion for dressing up as male. She possibly did this in order to impress the men, or may have done it in order to more easily fit into the tightly knit guerrilla groups without attracting too much attention. She later formed independent counterinsurgency cavalry force made up of 3,000 to 5,000 former bandits to hunt down anti-Japanese guerrilla bands during the pacification of Manchukuo, I think, and was hailed in the Japanese newspapers as the Joan of Arc of Manchukuo. Due to her exploits during the Second Sino-Japanese War, she eventually became a popular symbol in radio broadcasting and even became a singer. However, her popularity created issues with the largest army group at the time, the Kwantung Army, if I pronounced that right. Probably not, but I'm gonna go with that. And because her utility, they were upset because her utility as an intelligence asset was long gone with her popularity. And her value as propaganda symbol was compromised by the fact that she was becoming increasingly critical against the Japanese military. Mainly their exploitative policies in Manchukuo as a base of operations against China during the Second Sino-Japanese War. And eventually she just kind of faded from public sight because the military made sure that happened, I'm assuming. The end of the war in 1945, she was captured in Beijing and put on trial for treason. Remember, she is a Chinese-born citizen. And after a long trial, which I believe took over 2 years, she was executed and her body was put on public display. It's interesting how this all works out, just because, you know, like, Shadow Hearts loves to pull in, like, real-life people. Like, if we go back and look at more characters here, you know, I'm not sure if Jovis is real. Cardinal Albert Simon, I believe, was real. Roger Bacon was real. The Empress Alexandra, Prince Alexei, the Grand Duke, you know, most of these are real people, including Anastasia. Anastasia was a real person. I already talked about some of the history involved with her. Rasputin is a real person. There's a lot of information about him out there. Lawrence of Arabia. So many of these people are actual people in the real world. Probably not all of them, but a lot of them are, and it's quite interesting how they've kind of blended real life with not real life. Anyway, we have new areas to explore. This one, I'll make this pretty simple. There's not much here. This is where we just came from. And yeah, there's a whole lot of nothing we can do here. There's no items here quite yet. So we will go over here and go to Nihonbashi. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because it's going to take a long time to go through all the stuff that we can do here, and I can't walk back. Got to look around. I want to talk to people. Going on a trip from Tokyo to Kyoto takes a lot of planning. And Joachim runs like a jackass. Terrible murders going on here in the city. Make your hair stand on end. Some monster, bigger than a tiger or a bear, eats humans. Can I believe it? This is Shadowheart, so yes. What about you? 8 years from now, this place will be devastated by a great earthquake. Only those who believe can be saved. Oh, it's one of those guys, are they? From the bar. Have you eaten yet? We're look at the place up ahead. Why don't you give it a try? Pretty young girls like you. I'm sure you'll like it. I'm not sure if Joachim would, actually, but to each their own. Raised as a samurai, 50 years since the end of the Tokugawa shogunate. History moves so fast. Apparently some gentlemen's opened a strange training... No. Star started selling instant curry in the arena last year. Such a big hit. Interesting. Anyway, there's a lot going on here. The first thing that you would think is, oh, let's try one of these three directions. Nope, going up leaves town. Another big city that is limited to literally this screen, that screen, one to the left, and one to the right. And that's kind of it. He's back. That's all for this one. And I'll see you guys next time.